Joining me now is Christy Greenberg, former deputy chief of the Southern District of New York's Criminal Division, and MSNBC legal analyst, our secret in-house weapon, Lisa Rubin. All right, ladies, it's not even subtle, the strategy here, which seems to be delay. But Christy, for people who didn't pay attention to the docket this week, earlier, which is to say yesterday, Trump lost the effort to have Judge Chutkan recuse herself. And like literally as soon as she announces that, I think it was hours later, Trump's lawyers asked for 2 additional months to file pretrial motions. It's like literally they have a deck of delay cards and they're like, if that one's not going to work, then maybe this one will work. The question is like, can this actually work? Can it actually push this off significantly?
Well, so the one interesting thing in their filing before Judge Chutkan is they say we are not asking you to move the trial date. We're just asking for some additional time on the pretrial motions only. I think she may grant some kind of a compromise. Maybe it doesn't give him 60 days, but if she were to give even 30 days, that doesn't necessarily move the trial date, and it allows her to preserve the record on appeal that they can't say there's ineffective assistance of counsel, that they didn't have enough time. I mean, this indictment came down August 1st. Now we're talking a little over 2 months to file pretrial motions. That is a quick schedule on any criminal case. So to give a little bit more time, maybe not the full 60, a little bit more time, still preserve the schedule, preserve the record for appeal, I think she will try to find some compromise.
Is that so? Is it reasonable to assume you can bake in several more weeks for pretrial motions and not move the trial date? It's March 6th, right?
It is March 6th. It depends on what happens after the disposition of those motions. They are saying now, we are not asking you, Judge, to move the trial date because their wholesale effort to get her to move that trial date was thoroughly unsuccessful. But do I think that this incremental goalpost moving is definitely toward that end? Absolutely, because the pretrial motions that they intend to file, they've essentially telegraphed that they're primarily on legal and constitutional issues. They're not things that have to do, for example, with what they expect to find in discovery.
Right.
That having been said, do I think that they'll try and push it and push it and push it? Absolutely.
That seems to be the play. I mean, I will also say, Christy, what did you make of a list of potentially 128 witnesses that Trump's defense wants to call in his New York civil case?
Yeah, there's no way they're putting on 128 witnesses. I mean, this is, you remember Donald Trump sued this judge 2 weeks ago.
Yes.
And he just called him deranged in a post, a day or so ago. So it's a bench trial. This is not a jury trial. This is a trial before this judge. So I don't think he or any of his children are going to be defense witnesses at this trial. I do think he'll call some witnesses. I think he'll call witnesses to just continue to put forth these defenses, which at least as to this one cause of action that the summary judgment was on, are completely irrelevant. But these arguments that, okay, even if these statements were false, it's subjective. Valuations are subjective. There weren't material false statements. There was no requisite intent. He'll call people to talk about the real estate business being shady. And these kinds of, this is just business and how it's done. He'll call witnesses, I think, to just have a general, defense without getting specific into the facts. Because if you actually go to the examples that Tish James is putting forward, they're incredibly strong and they're objective, not subjective. He's got appraisals and then he has his own values, which are hundreds of millions of dollars inflated. Like, this is not wiggle room area. This is blatant fraud.
Is there a chance Donald Trump takes a stand? I mean, he's a name on both the prosecution and the defense list.
I think there is, if only because, Alex, today I compared the defense witness list with the prosecution's witness list. And they are entirely overlapping, except for there are probably like 3 or 4 names on the New York Attorney General's witness list that aren't on that list. Trump appears on both. That indicates to me the Attorney General intends to call him, and he has at least said in his public statements, if they call me, I will testify. I will not take the fifth. Proof is in the pudding. We'll see how that goes next week after opening statements from both sides. But I think there is a possibility that the Attorney General fully intends to call Donald Trump and all 3 of his adult children.
There is some peril in being deposed as part of a civil trial, right? Because that can be then used in other suits.
Absolutely. And his trial testimony, anything he says under oath will be used against him potentially. So his criminal defense attorneys in all of his criminal cases are going to be strongly advising him to not testify. Anytime he opens his mouth, it's just lie after lie after lie. And I don't think he's going to be able to credibly show that he didn't have any intent to defraud. When he says, oh, here are these lists of properties that were with my statements of financial condition, but that was just a list for me. And, that's what he said in the deposition. It defies logic. So I don't think him getting on the stand is going to do him any favors. He may do it, but I think his attorneys will strongly advise him not to.